What's up, Thunder fans? Nick Gallo here again with Chris Fisher and Michael Cage. Guys, we're all under quarantine, missing some hoops. What are you doing to stay active, keep your minds engaged right now?
Who knew it would be so difficult to be told to stay inside and watch Netflix? Like, seriously, how tough is that all of a sudden, right?
Yeah. I don't know about working on my jump shot.
Yeah.
Got my hoop here. Been working on my jump shot from inside.
Well, Fish, I actually had to activated my Netflix account the last week or so. Okay, so yeah, that's how unusual this is. I have a Netflix account. My kids use it. My wife use it. I activated mine, and now I'm very active on Netflix and Amazon Prime.
What took you so long? First, and what are you watching now? What's the first thing that you're going to watch? Just because.
Well, here's this. Check. Here's the thing, Fish. I'm a live TV guy, okay? I like live TV. There's enough live TV on every week, every night that I can channel through, I can surf through my 300 channels that I pay $400 for a month and find something, okay? But when there's nothing new, because I'm a sports guy. I mean, we're all sports guys. When you're not watching live sports, you start to like, okay, I saw that game. I saw that college game. I saw that in, that national championship game or NBA game. And then you start to like, oh, okay, I need to back down and take a time out on a lot of the replays and kind of go toward, I'm drifting toward Star Trek, Star Wars. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. So I go into Netflix and I find these kind of programs.
They ain't even close, man.
Don't say anything about Star Trek. That will take up this whole show if we try to get into the debate between Star Trek and Star Wars being basically apples and oranges. Let's leave it at that. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, you're talking about people replaying old games. There's been some great old NCAA tournament games on TV, some old NBA games. Fox Sports Oklahoma is replaying some of the very best Thunder games from the 2019-20 season. And there's one replaying tonight, guys, 7 p.m. Central Time, Thunder versus Clippers. And that was back in December. An incredible game for the Thunder, coming back from 18 points down to win 118-112. What do you guys remember from that kind of time period of the season? OKC was 14-14 heading into the game.
I don't think we really knew that this team was going to be as good as it is, right, Mike? I mean, they were trying to get over 500, and nobody thought they were any good still.
Right. And I think for me, yeah. And, there was a lot of unanswered questions. We're talking December 22nd. All I remember is, Chris, you and I had that wonderful red and green tie on.
That was special.
And we didn't even plan that. I had so many fans come up to me and say, you guys look great with the red tie and the green tie. Fish, for the record, did we plan that?
We did not.
No, we did not.
But it was perfect execution.
Absolutely. And going into that game, you got to remember, I thought this was a tough game for the Thunder. First of all, they were playing 5 games in 8 days. And 5 games in 8 days is going to take your legs. You're going to make a lot of mental mistakes. The focus is not going to be there. You're going to get to a point where you just want this game over. And I thought this was like one of those games where, it could go either way.
There's a few different dynamics at play. No Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers, but Danilo Gallinari was a late scratch in the game. So Darius Bazley, rookie, made his second career start, and he was sensational in that first quarter of that game. And then that kind of got followed up by some of the heavy hitters the Thunder's got.
Well, I thought, first of all, Fish, with him making a shot, hitting that first 3 from the corner, man, that got him off. Young guys, it's all about confidence. And when you get thrown into the fire like he was at that point, pressed into service by default, no college experience, rookie, and, basically taking it all in. The game is still going at 100 miles per hour. For him to step out there against the number 2 team in the Western Conference at the time, the LA Clippers, I thought that was big for his confidence. Really set the table for the rest of the season for him.
Yeah, it was fun seeing him get in there because he had some good decision making. Had those penetrations off the dribble from the wing, and then he knocked down that 3 that you were talking about early. But very emblematic of so many of the games this year where Billy Donovan was able to plug guys in and they were able to contribute, because Darius never showed any fear whatsoever, including that game. It was fun to see.
It didn't go super great for the Thunder to start off. Clippers shot 9 of 11 to begin the game. They got up 18. Their zone defense was giving the Thunder some fits. But then we saw SGA and then Dennis really closed out this game.
Yeah, SGA had 32 points. And, going back and watching the game, Mike, I don't know if you agree with me, but I was trying to figure it out in my mind. How did he get 32? Like, I saw Adams, the work that he was doing inside, but SGA 32 for the second consecutive game. I was like trying to think back of how did he get it, and I couldn't recall it in my head.
It's a good question because it was so early, as you mentioned, Fish, in the season. A lot of unanswered questions. When you're traded to a team like that, or in that kind of situation, blockbuster trade, you're playing against a player you were involved in the trade. There's a lot of things going through your head, and I thought, okay, well, 5 games in 8 days. He's playing against his former team. Paul George is making his return. How's all this going to play out? And I thought he settled down. He was himself. He wasn't trying to do something that we hadn't seen before December 22nd. He was doing the Shea thing and, hard drives to the bucket, getting and ones, hitting the mid-range floater. I thought that, he was really the catalyst. Now Schroeder came in on the end, but, as always, what we've seen, and I think in Shea's game, he's always kind of done a lot of the like ground troop work where he's in the trenches, just grinding things out. He's not an aerial assault guy. And on this particular night, I thought those drives to the buckets, he had Paul George on it, man. Come on. Paul George, top 10, top 5 defensive player, always in that conversation of defensive player of the year on him. He got a couple of early buckets and an and one on him that I thought gave him a lot of confidence in that game.
Speaking of defense, how about the defense that Teford played on PG throughout the game? I mean, he was draped all over him, and that was kind of interesting because every time that Paul George would come back into the game, Billy Donovan would counter with Terrence Ferguson. I think that they had some battles over practice over the years, and I think that Billy probably just felt comfortable putting Ferguson on him.
No doubt. And
that was really kind of different to see, right?
Yeah, PG went 2 of 8 in the second half with Ferg all over him. And then Dennis really closed this game out, 16 points in the fourth quarter, and he was sensational. One thing I noticed was he was kind of setting these dummy screens for the guards like CP or SGA and then just flying right out of them, and he was wide open for a couple 3-pointers. It was kind of cool to see some of that guard screening.
I think it's really, a big part of why the Thunder are difficult to guard. That's why they've been fun to watch all season long. We didn't know that at the time, right? We're just saying, okay, this guard-to-guard action is starting to turn dividends. But teams have a tendency to figure that out over the course of an 82-game schedule, and that became like the basis for a lot of the offensive attack that the Thunder were able to really throw at a lot of teams that they just didn't have an answer for. When I see Schroeder and CP3 in a pick and roll, or I see Shea and CP3 in a pick and roll, I mean, man, pick your poison. What are you going to do? Are you going to close out hard on CP3, who's one of the best passers in the NBA, and drop one over to a wide open Shea Cutting? Or if you got Schroeder, you got 2 guys who can turn the corner and get to the bucket, and they feed off of each other. I think Schroeder's passing is just as underrated as his defense, and I think we were starting to see how well that kind of chemistry was playing out, because it was all about chemistry at that point.
Yeah, I think that in going back and watching the game, it was a good paradigm of kind of the Thunder in the season. It took them almost 2.5, 3 quarters to kind of figure it out, a lot like the season. It just took them a little time to figure it out. But once they figured it out in the game and they played solid enough defense and hung in there and sort of grinded it out, it allowed the offense to catch up, and that allowed Schroeder to sort of find his rhythm and allowed the offense to catch the Clippers, because they had to catch up multiple times, not just the 18 points, but they were trailing by 8 points with 5 minutes to go. But the defense never left. And because the defense never left, it allowed the offense to catch up and allowed Dennis to catch fire and allowed Schroeder to make some shots and Steven Adams to get some big buckets down low. So I thought it was a good paradigm of, even really a microcosm of how the season had gone up to that point.
And Fish, keep in mind, too, you're talking about 2 of the best benches in the NBA. The Clippers came in as what, the number 1 bench in the NBA? scoring, over 50 a game. And then you had the Thunder, who was 10th, which was, I thought they were proud of that, to be 10th in the NBA with 8 new faces, 8 returning faces. And it's just a big battle between those benches. I think that was one of my keys to the game that night was the battle of the benches. And Schroeder was sensational with those 28 points off the bench.
Well, and he helped punctuate a 18-point comeback victory, a 118-112 win. He was my walk-off interview after the game, so definitely Thunder fans, check it out tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time on Fox Sports Oklahoma. It's a re-air of the Thunder versus Clippers from back in December. It was a great win. Lots of fun and excitement inside Chesapeake Energy Arena that night. Mike and Chris, thanks for joining me. Try to stay sane over the next few days. What do you got planned?
Well, I'm right here at home. I got my 2 dogs. I'm here with my wife. We're definitely at home. We're working from home, as you can see, folks. And we're just really, I'm glad I'm able to get out and just talk to you, be able to talk basketball. I miss the game. I miss you guys. I miss our fans. And I hope you'll continue to watch this. And I'm looking forward to giving you a lot more of this as well.
I'll tell you guys, the withdrawals are real. I mean, going cold turkey, no sports, that's just criminal on guys like us. Like, what are we supposed to do? I will say this. It's kind of funny because I feel like I'm the only one that's self-quarantining and staying at home, because the mayor of LA got really mad at everybody for going to the beaches and going hiking yesterday, that they're shutting them all down. Nobody's going to be allowed to park by the beaches anymore. It's kind of funny, because the weather's still pretty nice. But, Mike, if you got any Netflix recommendations once we're done watching this Clippers game, send them our way. I want to know what you're watching.
Okay, well, I'm a sci-fi guy. I got a line of them I'm going to send to you, Fish.
Good catching up with you guys. Thunder fans, we'll talk to you later on. Thanks.